Ranking the Scene.
Yo, what the fuck is up? Welcome back to Ranking the Scene, where we rank the scene. It's all in the name. I don't even have to do any fucking no notes.
We did a pretty good job naming this.
Yeah, no, we nailed it.
Yeah.
As always, you can follow us at SOTS Podcast. If you're enjoying the show, leave a thumbs up on YouTube. And if you want to support, patreon.com/SOTS Podcast to get early access to this, plus exclusive bonus episodes, credits, all that good shit. Marcus, we're going to get right into it. Before we get right into it.
What?
We're actually not getting right into it. We're not getting right into it.
It's the opposite of
momentary
getting right
pause.
into
Before we get right into it, if you do not want to be spoiled as to what the current rankings are, go back and start from episode 1. Because I'm about to spoil it. So, Marcos.
You know the deal. You know the deal. Let's get right into it, okay? 3 new albums again this week.
Yeah.
Which ones are they?
Discovering the Waterfront by Silverstein, All Hope Is Gone by Slipknot, and Eternal Enemies by Emmure. They will be joining this eclectic group of scene albums that have already been pre-ranked in previous episodes.
Yeah, we've pretty much got the full spectrum at this point with these new 3. As far as this scene is concerned.
You think people will push back on Slipknot being a scene band? Because I don't know why I do think of them that way. They
are. I think so.
They're
not the emo trinity, but they're probably the new metal trinity.
Right.
Do they have a cute name?
I just feel like we have to be like, did like the new metal trinity?
New
have
Trinity?
a cute
Was
name?
that something?
That's a fun idea, but no, they didn't. What a fucking missed opportunity. Who would it have been? Slip? Lincoln. And who's your 3?
Limp Bizkit.
It's Limp, but everyone always bitches and they're like, it's actually Deftones. And we're like, all right, fine, whatever. You're cool.
Man, so how did we settle on these 3?
Hoobastank, the Panic at the Disco of the,
the
Trinity. How do we settle on this 3?
We did. We got them from Patreon.
They were offered to us by patrons. If you want to suggest an album for Ranking the Scene, go to patreon.com/SOTS Podcast and join for just $3 a month. Get all those other perks I mentioned before, plus more that I forgot, plus this one.
Had you heard all of these albums prior to recording this episode?
All but one. I had not heard Emure's Eternal Enemies.
2 for me.
Oh, no.
Eternal Enemies.
This was your first experience with All Hope Is Gone by Slipknot. This is going to be such a fucking train wreck.
It was.
This is going to be so bad, Marcos. Let's start with Discovering the Waterfront by Silverstein. For us,
yes.
I have brought up the track listing, as well as this little quick quote from Genius.
Courtesy of Genius.
I think a little bit of flavor text will help when we introduce these. Discovering the Waterfront is the second full-length album by Canadian post-hardcore band Silverstein. The album was released on August 16th, 2005 through Victory Records. Marcus,
that's the big one.
Just shy of 20 years old.
Yeah, that's the big one. 20 years, just about. Holy fuck.
Nuts, right?
Also, the main one that came out, not the Redux this band did like 5 years ago for like the 15-year anniversary.
You know what's insane is that Your Sword versus My Dagger has 11.4K streams on Genius.
No.
I'm
Views for lyrics.
I'm kidding. Please, Marcus.
I do think it's fun though, comparatively, like going here and being like, okay, well,
what's the most lyrically popped off song? Obviously, it's My Heroine. I mean,
apparently, some of these other ones don't count. I don't know.
And maybe you have to get to like a certain amount for it to register. Like maybe it hasn't hit like 5K or whatever.
What are some of the thoughts that come to mind when you look over this track listing now?
I mean, it starts sooner than that. This is
this artwork,
iconic artwork, both because it's kind of terrible, but it's also insanely memorable.
It's both. This is like when
this has huge like positive
the photorealism stuff bands tried to do back in the day.
Yeah. But this one has a weird like like there should be a quote from the Bible over it somewhere.
Yeah. Well, this is around the time, God, I forget which band it was. It might have
God,
been
that's
like,
what I'm saying, bro.
might have been like Hinder or something.
Yeah.
Where like they put their faces on trees. And it's just like the worst Photoshop ever. And that is exactly what this is. In a very like meaningful way to me. Like this is a very nostalgic bad Photoshop.
Right, like it's nostalgically bad. Does this sell 100K more copies if
the artwork's
it's
better? Who knows?
a scene girl like with like the hand in the wall, like, because think about like all the other memorable scene albums you think of, and it's like fucking Suicide Season, fucking
Right.
Dying Is Your Latest Fashion,
I've
fucking Being as an Ocean album, you know what I mean?
I've long maintained anytime you put a male on the cover, you're doing a disjustice to your album.
You've
like,
cost yourself like some amount of sales percentage that you would have had.
you've put a ceiling on an album that could have just like the sky, you know?
Right. It doesn't necessarily make sense, but it's just like there's a science there. I can't
Right.
explain it. So
Like, I don't
Silverstein,
care about this like one guy kind of miserable, but if it was a girl kind of miserable, I'd be like, well,
I mean, I
you
feel
look
like
pretty sad.
we're coming at this from two opposite angles, though. We're saying this is like a critical failure on Silverstein's end, but we're also saying this is a deeply memorable, like,
Iconic.
so like, which is it? State of the scene.
It's both.
Fucking pick.
It can be both. Wait, 2 annotated covers? What's the
if
other
this
one?
was
Is it the...
if this was made in 2024, I would tell you this was AI. You know what I
You're
mean?
not wrong. What's the other cover? Is it like the painting version or some shit?
What do you mean? Like there's two, wait, how do I
There
see the
was
other one? If I
Hit that, yeah. Okay, that's our.
okay,
that's
that
the
like pops
one.
up the one I was already looking at.
Just click on the thing behind it, you idiot.
I tried that. It didn't fucking work. Look,
What the hell is
it's
going
not
on?
doing it. It's stupid.
Can you scroll?
I don't like that you get to just be Scorpio Child 97 and talk about whatever the fuck you want over here.
Scorpio Child 97.
Like, who gave you the right? We gotta focus.
Discovering the Waterfront. What do you think about when you see the track listing, Sam?
I mean, immediately what I thought is like, this has the all-time bangers on it.
This
Like,
has the Silverstein songs
right,
on
Smile in Your Sleep and My Heroine are the fucking Silverstein songs. They've never been surpassed, and they're significantly better than the one album that came prior. When I think of Silverstein, like, if these two songs ever left the set list, we would riot.
Not wrong. Not right, especially My Heroine, right? Like that's
Yeah.
the one off this album. Any other like mainstays though, as far as this track listing goes? Like, what's the third on here? Do you think?
I think realistically, it's the title track.
Okay.
I don't know why, but that one felt like the most refreshing rediscovery I had listening to this album. I was like, oh, this actually fucking hits
Right.
pretty hard.
There's more than a big 2. There was actually a big 3. Everyone forgets
precisely
about
true.
Chris Bosh,
Yeah.
you know?
And then I'll go back and look at the rest of this and be honest with you. While Your Sword versus My Dagger is like a quintessentially named Silverstein song,
Mhm.
and I think The Ides of March is also a pretty strong track that I kind of like forgot about. This album isn't quite as good as I remember it. Yep.
I didn't want to be the one to
Alright,
say it.
Same page.
Yeah, no, super same page.
It is like kept afloat by having the all-timers. Like, it makes you forget that it was surrounded by kind of like a fucking collection of mid.
Right, like this whole album isn't looked that fondly back upon. The 2 singles are really.
Yeah, this band has gotten actually much better for what it's worth. Like, their albums, like the last couple,
Yeah.
are significantly, the last few actually, are much better than their earlier albums.
I think the one that came after this one's better. You know, like
No, it's not. You're talking about Departures and Arrivals?
no,
It's
I was thinking
nowhere.
about when the fuck did
What are you thinking
how
about?
long?
You think about like
Shipwreck in the Sand?
Massachusetts fucking Shipwreck in the Sand is their 4th one. That's
Oh, my bad.
so that this is 2, the 3, and that
Which
5
explains
is
why I
fucking-
would forget about the other one.
five. We really fucking got our shit together. Fucking How the Wind Shifts. Like, I think that is an actual good ass
Yes.
album. Even fucking Shipwreck in the Sand is like close but not quite there.
It's got this album problem where it's like 4 bangers and then the rest of the record.
I think it's like tied together a little bit more conceptually though, in a way that like helps it out.
Yeah,
Ending on Rodeo Clown is like one of the worst mistakes this record ever did.
that song's not it.
It's just like a flat out miss, like just
Yeah.
a fucking hard swing and a miss, in a way that's really fucking frustrating. Overall, so let's jump back to the tier ranking then. Let's jump back to the tier ranking. I feel like we've gotten out.
I mean, I think the big question
some
here
overall
is
thoughts
like,
here.
How much do the top 3 songs on this carry this album?
Man,
Like, can it carry it up? It obviously can't do GOAT. We're not going masterpiece. It's probably not classic.
It's not that
I think we're talking last 5
bitch.
categories.
It's not that bitch.
4 categories.
And I'm gonna be honest with you.
It's not a crime to humanity by any means.
It's nowhere near a crime to humanity. It's not fucking awful.
No.
It's either the top of pretty mid or the bottom of just okay for me. I'm looking at all these albums and they're better. I think this has a lot of the same problems, ironically.
Ooh.
I just don't think this I Set My Friends on Fire album has My Heroine or Smile in Your Sleep. So I think it would be underneath. So the decision is here. Is it the top of this or the bottom of this for me?
I'm going to hit you with something.
Hit me.
I think I know where it goes. I think it goes top of pretty mid.
And it's just like from the strength of the album
And
type
I'm not going to
beat.
lie. Most of the time, I'm still having a good time with pretty mid albums.
Yeah, like pretty mid still has heat.
Right.
It's just not enough heat to be a good album.
I still own I Set My Friends on Fire on vinyl, you know?
Yeah,
Like, I still enjoy it.
I have Discovering the Waterfront on vinyl. Like, that's not the point we're making here. Marcus, moving on, I cannot fucking believe you hadn't heard All Hope Is Gone by Slipknot before. What I will call, and what I think a lot of people might agree with me, is the last good Slipknot album.
So,
Hold on. Can I do the flavor text first?
yeah.
Per Genius.
Yes, sir.
All Hope Is Gone is the 4th studio LP from Slipknot. It is also the final album that features the late Paul Gray on bass and former drummer Joey Jordison, who is also the late Joey Jordison.
Both rest in peace.
It debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200 and also has been certified platinum. The album also spawned 5 singles with All Hope Is Gone, Psychosocial, Dead Memories, Sulfur, and Snuff.
Why am I surprised Dead Memories was a single?
No,
Was it a single?
What? No, it wasn't the
don't
single.
know.
The single was Psychosocial.
I feel like Vendetta's a better single choice than that.
What the fuck, bro?
Am
How
I
do
all
you
over the
even
place
feel
here?
about this album?
I don't know. So let's talk about it.
Bro,
So
look how many fucking Scrabble stream views fucking Psychosocial has.
I don't like
That's
putting
insane.
this up against Silverstein. It really puts it into perspective here.
Yeah, now we're getting context for like what it actually means for people to go read lyrics.
Right. So, All Hope Is Gone. I think the most familiarity I had with this heading into it was Psychosocial, but not even the official version. It was that mashup with Justin Bieber's Baby.
Oh my
like,
fucking god, bro.
in 2009, around the time when both of these had come out.
This is like a Code Red level bad.
So my familiarity with Slipknot is I've heard every album since this one, and
that has to be
bits
good.
and pieces
That
of
has to
like
be good.
the other good ones, but I've never heard this one in full. I've heard Sulfur, I've heard Psychosocial.
I'm so scared.
That
right
was
now.
it.
I'm so scared right now.
And for the most part, I like it. I don't love this album.
It's not great.
I
I'm not
like it.
This album is held up strongly by its singles, which I think has kind of always been the case for Slipknot. Even if you go back to like Iowa and Subliminal Verses, I really think it's like, without a shadow of a doubt, the best songs are the fucking singles. And that's the case here. Psychosocial fucking smacks. Snuff is like incredibly strong in terms of a Slipknot ballad. Straighten your fucking neck out. I love Dead Memories. I think that's a really good track as well. But you have a weirdly different take on all this.
I think this album starts off pretty strong.
Sure.
Really appreciate the drumming more than anything else on here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much of it is Joey. Like, I feel similar about future Slipknot in that, like,
They have
sometimes the percussion
yes
is like I can barely think of bands that can replicate it in a way that, like, man, Slipknot's drumming just sounds like it belongs here and nowhere else.
I could be wrong about the exact makeup of this band, but I believe they have like a drummer, Joey Jordison, but then like I think Clown is also like
I think that's
their
part of it.
percussionist.
Yeah.
So there's like a weird like synergy this band has that other bands can't have because they don't have 9 fucking members. Yeah. So advantage by numbers here.
And I listened to this album and, like, Execute starts off in like an unexpected way, like mostly instrumental, right? Like big build up or whatever. And then I'm enjoying The Killing Name. I'm enjoying Sulfur. I like Psychosocial, like Dead Memories, like Vendetta. I like Butcher's Hook. And then I think the rest of this album drags in the worst way imaginable.
You feel that way about Snuff?
I thought
Snuff?
I was so bored with tracks like 9 through 10. By the time Snuff came around, I couldn't even enjoy it because how badly I wanted this record to be over.
Whereas me, having heard the album before, I know what's coming, and I'm just sitting there holding my breath till I get there.
Sure.
Right?
And again, like I like All Hope Is Gone. It's a good track to end out on. Like, thank God it wasn't like This Cold Black that ends the album, you know? But like, oh my God, there's a stretch on this album that is unforgivable and you cannot come back from.
This is a brutal era of most modern major label bands and their inability to put together good albums, which was, thank God, broken by some but adhered to by most, unfortunately. So it's like the idea that like you're getting the singles and the rest of the album is mid was almost an understanding for most people.
Yeah. I can understand though, like sometimes when I go off about Slipknot being mid and all that, like
you have no
hearing
context.
some of these songs gives me the context of like, you know, oh, Slipknot does have some tracks in them.
Psychosocial is still for me one of like the greatest nu metal songs ever written. Like just flat out a band that fucking got it. They knew how to write a just killer song.
But I had my mind on the fucking future because when I heard Corey Taylor over that Baby, I was like, oh, this is what it's gonna be about
so much
in 10, 15 years.
Your introduction to culture is like how people feel now when like someone discovers Pierce the Veil through TikTok. It's like you're not listening to it right. What are you doing with this fucking thing?
I don't really know. I don't know if I like this.
It's not going high. It's not.
I don't know if I like it more than Silverstein's the question.
Let's be real. Is this even as fun to listen to as I Set My Friends on Fire?
No, it's not. I listen, I was curious where you were going to go with this, but I'm ready.
This is like, I think Silverstein has a higher floor on this album than Slipknot does. I think the worst of this Slipknot album is truly dreadful to listen to.
I also...
Fucking Gehenna, like, this song could not be over sooner.
I also still don't really know if I like Corey Taylor that much as a singer.
He's very hot and cold.
There are times where I listen to a Slipknot song and I'm like, this would actually be so much better with any other vocalist. Any other vocalist.
I don't know if I'd go that. That's going way too
any
far.
Other vocalist style, whatever, but
I feel like
not
Corey
this guy.
Taylor is responsible for a lot of like modern vocalists. So I feel like compliments you're attributing to them
I'm not talking about past vocalists.
Due to like having grown up with Slipknot in the same way that they grew up with like Chester Bennington.
I'm saying put Kurt Cobain on this, and we're all walking different.
Is this at the bottom of Pretty Mid?
It is.
Fuck, man.
I could not wait for this record to be over. After enjoying if
you're doing Snuff way too dirty.
If the other 5 songs on this record were as good as the fucking first 5 or 6 on this one.
Did you listen to the deluxe?
The one that's like at Madison Square Garden Live? No.
The one I listened to had like 2 extra tracks. It had like a fucking Vermilion Part 2 remix that I really like.
No,
and another song that was like quietly better than every other song on this album.
So I have a funny experience with this one. Initially I couldn't stream it and I couldn't figure out why.
You listen to this on CD or something?
No, I didn't realize that I couldn't access them because I had at some point blocked them on Twitter or blocked them on Spotify for the bit of posting on Twitter. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, why isn't this available?
Your opinion's so tainted on this band. I feel like it's not even like I should have excluded you from this discussion and just done the ranking myself.
But would they have
like
moved?
A solo ranking.
But would they have moved?
It's like, let me solo her. All right.
Solo it. Does it move? I'm letting you solo it.
It doesn't. Fuck.
So shut the fuck up.
All right. Don't yell at me. Finally, Marcos, Emmure's Eternal Enemies, an album that neither of us
People are
heard.
not going to be happy with us now.
They don't even have a fucking, like, they don't even tell me what year this came. Oh, no, it does. April 15th, 2014. No flavor text, though.
10 years just about.
Fuck, we are coming up on a decade of this.
And this album certainly sounds a decade old. Some of the subject matter, a decade old.
Metalcore bands don't write songs like this anymore for a reason.
They don't.
Listening back to some of this shit, I was like, I cannot believe we were getting away with this. Like you were at the very end of this being somewhat socially acceptable, right?
This is like
You're like that one scene in The Hangover that got in just under the wire where it didn't get the whole fucking cast. This is like the fucking Tropic Thunder of fucking albums. Like you just made it.
It's more like the American Pie or whatever, where like you think back in your head like, oh, it wasn't that bad, and you go and watch it and you're like, oh shit.
Like this is the like gaslight of move, right? Like it's everything wrong. Like it's everything you've learned is wrong.
Right.
That at the time was acceptable.
And for that reason alone, it's so fun only experiencing this for the first time 10 years later.
All right. I got 2 songs into this and I had to stop and be like, are Emure the best that's ever done it?
So, and our context really is we've only heard everything that came out after this, right?
Like I started at Look at Yourself or Don't Look at Yourself.
And then we got Hindsight 2020.
My favorite album that came out that year. and then you're right. Hindsight 2020, which I think is like a not quite as good version of that album. But you're right. Going backwards with this band is such an experience because 2 songs in, I'm like, I didn't like this at the time.
Right. Yeah.
This is almost just better Attila in a lot of ways.
Right. Like I don't even have any excuses. I'm like, this like runs circles around some Attila song.
Right. Like what was my mind frame? Like who was I?
I mean, we talked about like maybe not the album artwork for Slipknot. We talked about it for Silverstein. I want to talk about it here. The only thing I could remember, scroll up for the production value, Sam, is everyone just always saying that it was Jonah Hill behind the mask.
God damn it. You can't unsee it.
Right. And for that reason, I was always just like, this is an unserious band. And I wrote them off.
A deeply
and I'm like, well,
band,
yes, they're unserious. And that's the fucking draw. Why'd I write them off?
Right. 100%. 100%. Like, do not take a single aspect of this seriously.
There has to be a beef I'm forgetting about back in the day where like a band I really loved and respected didn't like them. I know.
Everyone.
And I was like, yeah, you guys are right. Fuck Emure.
I feel like Emure beef, if like there has to be a whole Wikipedia page dedicated to it.
There's gotta be.
That would be so rich to revisit.
So rich.
I feel like recently I saw one that was like Frankie Palmieri maybe talking shit about Suicide Silence. I can't remember.
Fun.
I don't remember. There was like post Mitch Luger. Let me specify here.
Yeah.
Man, it pisses me off so much that we can't see the alternative ones to this because you think it would be as easy as just oh, and it's just like being able to see
Go
like
back
the
to Silverstein
on there. Oh, this is so fucking
pretty
annoying.
fun. I don't know why that's the only way you can see it though.
Fuck. I'm sorry. Did you just ask me if I want to peong this album? Shut the fuck up. You made up bullshit genius garbage fucking website.
Some AI shit right
All
there.
right. After the fucking start of this album, I started to level set expectations pretty quick. It's like...
What do you mean? Be more specific.
This is fun, but it's not like... I think it's nowhere near as good as fucking the album that comes after it.
No, I agree.
Nowhere near as good. It's fun, but it's also like too long.
That was the big thing for me. I'm like, why is this like 5 tracks longer than it has any right to be?
Like Emure just thought they were dropping a mixtape with this
one.
Like down to the artwork, everything about it.
This should have been like 9 tracks.
Yeah. Like a short and sweet.
How much is it? Was it like 15 or some shit?
25, I think. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cut out the middle is what I'm saying.
I'm sorry. Genius has top eternal enemy scholars is the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen in my whole goddamn life.
I actually wish these names were as out of pocket as they should be.
You're right. One of these really should be like moths to bless the something fucking just combining
the breakup.
Fucking brain. Like, come get out of here, bro. I like desperately wanted to love this more than I did, but the longer it went on, the more like my fire burned out for it.
I think it actually has two of the best tracks towards the end.
Which is what exactly?
Girls don't like boys. Girls like 40s and blunts, baby.
All time
dog. The feminism exiting my body at the fest is like Flash level rates.
You leave your feminism at the door when you start to listen to this fucking album. Don't even play with me right now.
Bro, they dropped that slut, and I instantly added it to my gym playlist. I was just like, I know where you're going.
All right. I think Hitomi Shinobi was a particularly good song. If we're talking about strong.
We were just kids. It's surprisingly strong track out of this band that takes itself a bit more seriously.
This band has such like... How do I phrase it? Emure feels like real people. If that makes sense, in the way that in the way that like Midwest emo bands feel like real people, they feel like people you went to high school with. If that makes sense to you at all,
it does.
You know what I mean? Like there's something you see in Emure that feels
the people
very
I went to high school
familiar.
with were bumping this album, Sam.
They feel less like celebrity and more like just one of the guy. You know what I mean? Right. I don't know what it is. In a way, maybe that makes I don't want to call I don't want to in the year 2024 call it Emure relatable. I that's not the word I'm looking for. But there's something about them that feels real.
Right, 2014 era Emure.
Right, they just feel real in a sense that like a lot of other bands don't. Like nothing about Emure feels manufactured. This feels like fucking four dudes who eat at a gas station and then fucking play metalcore, and that's something I really like about them.
There's no like
and they feel like they sing about real shit in
overarching
some capacity.
theme. There's no like poetry. There's no artistic.
You can't label manufacture Emure. Yeah. You discover this in the back of some shitty venue. You know what I mean? Like that's how you get your Emure. I feel like I named I feel like you said you really like two songs in the back half there where We Were Just Kids and Girls Don't Like Boys. Yeah. All right. My favorite tracks on here are probably Hitomi Shinobi, which I feel like is the end of my patience. And then right at the top, I just think Untitled into Nemesis goes so fucking insane. Like we just come in at 180 fucking the most aggressive band has ever been in history. It's so fucking exciting. That being said,
I think we're flirting with two tiers on this one.
It ain't the top one.
It's not the top one. It's not the bottom one, but it's the one above it, and it's probably pretty mid. Is it pretty mid or fucking awful is what it comes down to?
It's not fucking awful.
It's not.
I thought you were pitching this as just okay. I think that's way too strong. I don't think it's as good as Silverstein.
So I think we're aligned. It's pretty mid at the very least. So where does it go?
Is it as fun as I Set My Friends on Fire? I think it might be. Okay. Do you take this over the best of fucking Slipknot? I don't know that I go that far.
Probably not.
And it lands itself at the bottom of pretty mid. It's what's crazy, I think, to give credit to Emure is that as far as I'm concerned, they go from pretty mid to like top 3 category contender with their next record.
You're right.
For me personally.
Okay. Maybe like masterpiece to that bitch. I don't know about GOAT.
Tough week.
I did not actually expect this to only be mid this week.
Yeah, I didn't think we were going hat trick pretty mid. I thought somebody would break out of the pack on this one, but they all just kind of, at the end of the day, had that same feeling when I finished. Like, there are good songs on really not great albums here.
Yeah. And just when everything like was starting to kind of exist in the shadow of just okay, pretty mid storming out the gates this week.
Storming out the fucking gates, bro. Pretty Mid showed up
big this week. If you bet on Pretty Mid on fucking DraftKings this week, you are fucking eating lobster tonight.
Once again, if you enjoy the show, leave a thumbs up. And if you want to suggest an album, go to patreon.com/SOTS podcast and become a lovely patron of this show. We love you. Bye.
Goodbye.